Welcome to Sailing Avanti. We are Gerard and Jacqueline, sailing our 41-foot monohull Avanti around the world from Cape Town, South Africa.
On my way to go pick up my parents from the airport. It's so exciting. The weather's a bit weird. It's starting to rain now, but it's a 4-kilometer walk to the airport. Never thought I'd walk to the airport to go pick up my parents, but we'll grab a taxi to get back, and then they'll be in for their first rough night on the boat. It looks like we're in for a serious reversal tonight, but hopefully they're very tired from the long flight and they can just sleep through it. Fingers crossed.
So we've had this reversal as predicted for basically the whole day, and it's been bearable with the swell coming in and the wind being from the west. So we're on a lee shore obviously, and as soon as it gets too bad there's a risk of your mooring line snapping, or you basically move your mooring blocks, and we are quite shallow. We just have about half a meter to a meter depending on the tide below the keel and the rudder. So we are rolling around a bit. It got quite a bit worse tonight, so it's about 8:30 and we're basically ready to go. See, some of the boats have already left. We've got the engine running and we're ready to just release the mooring lines and go. Unfortunately, we've got a mooring that's closer to shore, so there's like two lanes, an inside lane and an outside lane, and we're on the inside lane and we have to dodge a big catamaran that's right in front of us before we can leave. So Jackie will be on the helm if that happens, and she'll have to show her best maneuvering skills. My parents-in-law also just arrived today, so a very daunting experience, so hopefully we don't have to leave and it settles down. Unfortunately, the conditions didn't improve, and soon after shooting the previous video we had to cast off our mooring lines and make a dash for it. Jackie managed to miss our mooring lines as well as the catamaran in front of us, and we decided to head to Klein Bonaire, where we circled around for 7 hours until we could get back to the mooring balls.
The first few days with Mom and Dad was mostly spent swimming and getting ready for a storm approaching, which would later be named Hurricane Ian. In Bonaire, you have 3 choices with an approaching storm. 1. Stay on the mooring balls until the marine park authorities tell you to leave. 2. Get a berth in the marina, or option 3, sail for Curacao, where the main anchorage, Spanish waters, is more sheltered than Bonaire. Since we were not waiting on the mooring balls or sailing for Curacao anytime soon, we headed into the marina with all the local fishing vessels and diving boats. All the normal berths were already full, so we needed to go raft up like most of the other yachts in the mooring field, making sure we had enough water, wine and food on board to last us a few days, should the worst happen.
As we waited for the tropical system to pass over us, we kept a close eye on the forecast that was published by the National Hurricane Center. The forecast showed that the likelihood of the storm forming a tropical storm or a hurricane over us increased every hour.
The whole island was getting ready for the coming storm, as locals predicted it would be the worst one of the season so far. Other docks removed their wood from their walkways to avoid the damages from the expected swell. Restaurants had closed early, and even the iguanas have gone for a last swim before hunkering down.
Normally, a storm like this passes relatively quickly, It moves at about 15 to 20 miles per hour, so it only lasts a day or two. The rain and the swell can, however, be quite erratic before the storm and a few days after the storm. The swell in this case stayed quite rough for 1 or 2 days after it passed. In this case, we experienced quite a lot of rain, not a lot of strong wind, and quite a bit of swell that came into the mooring fields. We were very lucky that Hurricane Ian was only named just after it passed the ABC Islands. Normally, a storm is named when the sustained wind speeds reach 35 miles per hour or 56 kilometers an hour.
The sun rose after a night of playing card games in a very hot Avanti. Since we couldn't open any hatches for some wind to cool us down with the amount of rain, it was a sweaty one to say the least. As the worst was past us, my dad and I went for a walk to see if the storm had left any marks on the island itself. We saw a lot of debris in the waves, from signage boards to large wooden planks, and the shoreline was covered in rubbish. As we got closer to town, we saw that one of the dinghy docks we've used in the past had even lost its chair, pillar and ladder. With some big swells still coming in from the west into the mooring field, it was clear that we weren't leaving the marina anytime soon. As we were walking, we spotted something against the retaining wall, and my heart sank. There was a mast lying down, and we realized it was a sailing vessel. This is a local sailing vessel that was lying on a small beach. After everything had calmed down, we found out that luckily no one was on board or hurt, but we never found out how she came loose of the mooring balls. She had been lying right next to us in the mooring field for days before this, and this is honestly one of my biggest fears. Looking closer, the rudder looked in place and the keel had no damage. The boom and mast also looked intact. One can only hope that there isn't a large hole on the side she's lying on the beach. These weather conditions is not often experienced here, and we can see that from the damages sustained by some of these docks. The infrastructure and some of the waterfront restaurants have not been built for this. The island is out of the hurricane belt and is therefore called a year-round destination for that reason.
We were impressed to see that before lunchtime a mobile crane has been mobilized to pick up the yacht that's been beached. A quick pickup meant that they could float it again and limit damage while it was lying in the swell. They took the yacht back to the marina and it seemed like the hull did not have a hole in. So a lucky escape for the yacht owner.
fixed everything that's been broken in less than 48 hours, which is super impressive. This whole Nautico deck that was completely taken down has been put back, and the wooden pieces that are missing are back. So it's really impressive how quickly, or how used to the storms are, that they fixed everything so quickly.
In less than 48 hours after the storm passed, the swell calmed down and we could go back to the mooring ball and life continued as normal. Today we're drinking what I would call a brown ale. So it's another Dutch beer that we found in a shop in Bonaire. It's called La Trappe. So La Trappe has got a few flavors or different styles of beers. This is a double or a double. So it's supposed to be a relatively strong beer. And as you can see, it's like a brown ale with a nice head of foam. It's a 330 or 300 ml bottle, and it's got 7% alcohol in it, so quite strong. So yeah, let's see how this one tastes. It's quite a unique taste. I think I've had a few doubles before, but it's a really nice really nice brown ale. It's quite smooth, so I like it. It's really refreshing. It's not too heavy, although the alcohol content is too heavy. Well, quite heavy. So yeah, I would really recommend this. Ramon from Pacific recommended this brand, so thank you, Ramon, wherever you are in Colombia. And the price of this one in the shop is about $3 US, so quite pricey, but it is imported from the Netherlands. So if I rate this one, I would say this one gets an 8 out of 10, as I'm quite a big brown ale fan. Cheers.
We've walked 2 kilometers to this shop, the wine shop, that should have very nice wine. But it's been pouring and there's a lake in front of it and we don't have a car. So I don't know how we're gonna get there. How badly do you want wine? Nothing was going to keep us from the wine, so we walked down another road and bashed through some bush to get to the shop and buy some wine to accompany our barbecue celebration dinner for being back on the mooring field.
We mainly eat vegetarian and chicken because beef fillets sells for a whopping $45 US per kg. Next week we at last catch some fish in the Caribbean with some help from professionals.
Thank you for joining us this week. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a big thumbs up. Leaving a comment and subscribing to our channel helps us reach more people. Thank you very much to our Patreons. You can join them by clicking on the link in the description below.